Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a massive night of racing here for our Friday night delights. Once again, it is the Imsa official Shadow Series, brought to you by Warren and Brown Tools here on SRW TV. I am one of your commentators here tonight, Hamish, Munro, as always, joined by Peter Gretton here behind the producing and the cameras and everything else. Peter, it's going to be a wild night of racing, mate. I know you've been trying to learn more and more about these cars, but I think this track here tonight for Daytona, one of the most famous tracks for these cars to race around, could be a perfect opportunity to learn some tricks of the trade and some facts about these cars as well.
Yeah, 100%. Good evening, Hamish. Good evening to all the viewers. And I tell you, the chatter until about 2 a.m. the other night has brought me a lot more confidence in this evening. I'm sure all the viewers out there will be happy to hear about that. I haven't been at the best, but let's kick this off. Daytona road course, plenty of experience from all the drivers on this track. Now, whether I'm being a hard ass or not, Hamish, zero safety cars, I do believe it should be the case here tonight, given the experience. We're 1/24th of the race distance here tonight than what these guys have done in the past at Daytona 24 hours. So, ladies and gentlemen tuning in, this is going to be a cracker because, well, everything's lined up. Everyone knows this track and everyone knows what's at stake. Penultimate round 2, Hamish, next week. We wrap it all up for 23.
Yeah, mate, next week out at Silverstone is going to be our final round, but tonight the focus is down here in Florida for Daytona, not too far away from Daytona Beach at this circuit, of course, known for many races around or in a racing calendar in many leagues across the world, not just sim, but in real life, of course, the Daytona 500, 24 hours of Daytona as well as my favorite special event on iRacing every year, the Raw before the 24, the old 2.4-hour race. Solo campaign in some incredible cars, but our focus tonight is on this multi-class action out at this circuit. It's what it's best known for across sports car racing fans, and I think this circuit is going to offer up a lot of possibilities. You know, you say there shouldn't be a safety car, but no matter how many 24 hours I've been in or that I've seen, there's always big stacks that are worthy of safety cars. People are always going for big moves at opportune times, so I think it's all going to come down to how smart these drivers are going to play it, and also how they're going to be able to contest with that GT3 field as well. We spoke the other night a little bit about some zones that we could see, some little danger zones where we could see some moments. We could see Doug Gowans here in his Acura as we just switched away, but that's fine. These drivers here currently coming up towards the bus stop, that's going to be a big spot as well. People going for moves down the inside. It's going to be real, you know, who's going to lift first or who's going to give in first. You cannot go too wide through this section. It is a single line section of corner, and we just saw John O'Kiley hit the grass there, proving it is very easy to cop a slowdown through that bus stop. Turn 1's going to be incredibly dangerous for these drivers as well, or at least a key area they need to focus on, because if you are a millimetre away from your braking zone, it's very easy to lock up and head out wide off the exit of turn 1, and then having to do a really difficult rejoin into turn 2 as we see Harry Dodds coming through here. So I mean, it's a double apex corner, very easy to go out wide, and well, you need to just kind of keep yourself clenched, keep your teeth clenched, and stay concentrating through that section of track. Dodd's going to come round now through towards turn number 6, which is a kink, but it's turn 7, the one that we want to concentrate on. We can see the GTP car coming past in there from Velocity Racing Team. It's the corner they're coming up to now, this heavy braking zone. It's pretty much as soon as you hit the cones, that's when you want to get on the brakes. Very easy to go down the inside. It's very easy to get too overzealous and run out wide again. Another double apex corner. This next corner as well, coming onto the bowl, Peter. Very easy to lose the rear end here. It's kind of a 1 to 2 line run, but you need to perfect your entry onto the bowl, because if you go too quick or you're too fast on the throttle, very easy to lose that rear end and to drop places in the process.
Yeah, two ways that you don't want to exit that corner, and that's facing the other way. So that's putting your loud pedal down too early, and if you do it too late, well, you're going to be eaten up once you come down to this section here. So plenty of sections in this track to look at, Hamish, but I think it was a little bit harsh saying it should be zero safety cars, but I have faith in these guys. You know, I watched it before that I come on board with you guys, and I'm watching it right now, and I have done the other few weeks. These guys have potential to really turn it on. And well, the World Centre of Racing tonight is going to do it. For those who don't know, that's Daytona. World Centre of Racing is well known. What about a Daytona 500? That's just turning left, and left. But I tell you, the accidents in those 500s, there's some goodies.
Well, Matt, I think the it doesn't really matter how much faith someone has in our driver's abilities. There's always the unknown of when that red mist comes over their eyes and they get the attack on and they get ferocious in their moving or in their passing. So it's really, I think we could possibly see one here tonight. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see any, but Daytona normally offers up some safety cars, as we see Hodgkinson just kind of failing through the bus stop. Very easy to do though, especially in those rear engine cars, as we go with his teammate Greg Barber now, one of the other Porsches out there for the GT3s. But this track can always offer up some spiciness and some carnage, being that you are close to walls, and unless you're having an incident on the infield that puts you towards the right-hand side of the track, then you've only got a wall to your left. If you have a mistake on the bowl, it can lead to incredibly dangerous and crazy crashes I've seen throughout multiple racing classes around this track. So I think the possibility of a safety car is high. I don't know if it's more than 50, I don't know if it's too much bigger than 50%, maybe 60%, maybe 65%, but it's all going to come down to how willing these drivers are to play together instead of against each other here tonight. I think the highest possibility, the corner with the highest chance we can see one, is the corner we've just come through, the bus stop, because it's very easy to get the car loose, shoot it into the left-hand side, into the wall, and with those GT3 cars, if any of the front engine cars go in front ways, they're going to need a tow, and we're going to be getting a safety car.
And what about that slowdown? You can at the bus stop, you can go fairly, curve happy on curve 1 and 2 in that complex. You even look at that curve 3, and everyone knows that curve 3, or the exit curve at the bus stop. You even look at that the wrong way, and you could be looking at a upwards of a 1 second slowdown. So that, talk of slowdowns, Hamish, that section right there, I would hate to see someone in the heat of the battle got 1 second slowdown because they've just looked at the curve. So it's that's going to be interesting as well, how many curve strikes and how many slowdowns people are going to get. There's pretty good here at Daytona. iRacing's got it pretty right, but I'll call it curve 3 in the bus stop sort of complex. Jesus, if you're hungry there, you're going to be losing a lot of positions.
Oh, you will, mate. And it is prudent to carry a shallow line through that complex, through the bus stop. It's better to go in slightly slower on the entry into the bus stop and then kind of hook it right onto the right-hand side of the circuit, just to make sure you actually are missing that left-hand side curb on the exit. You can ride it. You can hit any of the rubberized parts, but it's once you hit the grass that you actually cop the slowdown. The slowdown, it can be somewhere between a second and even I've seen up to 2.5 seconds. The beauty of it is, though, you can serve it all the way to the start-finish line, even sometimes all the way to turn 1. So if you're smart and you know how to kind of bleed the slowdown out all the way down to turn 1, you actually won't lose too much time compared to the other drivers, but you will still lose some positions having to kind of just hold the brake as you're driving around that bowl.
Interesting too, the straights, and when also these guys come together, we just seem to come together on track in practice, so it doesn't really matter. But here at Daytona, although they're well versed, I'm not too sure if it was a tactical planning from the admins, but it seems, and I've probably said it last too, Hamish, that the GTPs come across the GT3s with only about a lap, or sometimes we've seen it half a lap. They're battling like cats and dogs for the lead of the race in their class, and then they come across a battle of 3 GT3s, and it's right at that pinch point of the race where you need to make it happen. But I don't know, I'd like to ask admin if that was a tactical decision. Even if it wasn't, I like it because they start to trip over each other right when it counts.
I think the beauty of this circuit in particular for these two classes is there is actually quite a few spots you can get the moves done in terms of wanting to get around the lap traffic. The best thing that the lap traffic can do tonight in those GT3 cars, and it is imperative that they know this because they should have been told this every time they've gone to do a D24, if they're going in a slower class, is just hold your line and stay predictable. These GTPs can get around you very easily around here. Now, Ferguson here coming up towards the kink. You do not want to go for it around the kink. It is one line only. You do not want to go too wide because someone's going to end up in the grass. As a GT3, just hold your ground, sit on the inside line. They'll either have to wait or they'll try and go around the outside of that corner. Just follow the apex, follow your line around here. These guys can get around so much easier than what you might think, and they've got a lot of pace to do it as well. So, especially on this section, where even if they have to wait for that last corner in the actual infield, they've got so much room to get past you down into the bowl and then into the bus stop and even out of the bus stop as well. So patience is going to be key, but sticking to your line is even more important as a slower car driver.
Yeah, I hate it. Even if I'm in the same class, I hate a faster guy or a class coming up behind me because it's just it's nerve-wracking. So as we just crossed to, I think it was that Mez doing some pre-burnouts. He hasn't been in the last couple of rounds, and 95 Simsport planted on his car. Simon Mazzomo, I know you've got a fair bit to do with him. Hamish, he's going to be one just to put the nose up in the pointy end of the totem here tonight, one would think.
Yeah, mate, former podium finisher in the series this season. Had a good chat to him earlier in the season, and he was pretty excited to get into these cars. Hasn't been able to race as often as what I think he would hope, but back out there tonight for probably the best track on the calendar other than Le Mans. So I think he's gonna have a real crack, and I think he's going to be one of the people we're going to be talking to at the end of the night, quite possibly. He's just come off finishing the Vets Championship for this season. They had their final round yesterday, and now he's able to get back into racing before returning to SimSpeed for their season 18 in a couple of weeks' time. So he should be able to focus with us now for the next 2 weeks.
He's going to be a contender as well, and I didn't look at the points to see if he's still up there. I know he did lose quite a few, or miss quite a few rounds. So I might have to do my homework so I can spectate next week. It's my last round for the year, moving week, Hamish. I'm excited. Not.
Yeah, it's going to be. It's going to be a big week for all of us, of course, for people who are still going to be here doing the broadcasting for the Imsa series, and then for yourself as well, being at home, moving to a new home too. So we're all going to be busy. We're all going to be focused on what we're doing, and hopefully, though, it's going to be a good battle next time out at Silverstone. I think it's going to be an interesting track for sure to come to in these cars. I don't know if I would have selected it for these cars, but I think it could spit out some good battles and some fun racing as well.
Silverstone is made for battles, maybe GT3s. It would have been interesting to call GTPs there, because I don't know if these cars are going to like that sort of style of circuit. Just my opinion as the session goes into quali. I was early for a change. That's pretty good. But I'll be tuning in next week anyway, and having a look just to see what it's all about. But qualifying, and I did line up a driver, Luke Crum, to jump in and do a lap with us in his class. Callan Hodgkinson in his class as well, but I missed a key ingredient in saying, I want you in the Discord. So they're not here. So we're just going to have to flap our gums as the first class comes out in qualifying, Hamish. But what times do you think we're looking for here at Daytona tonight?
So I think from memory, on average, the GTP should be running mid 130s, so up to I think 134s, maybe 135s. Could be wrong. It's been a while since I've driven those cars around here. The GT3s, I believe, should be running about 10 seconds slower. They should be about mid 140s, maybe up close to 150s. We will get a sign of that though throughout this qualifying session, and as I said, it has been a little while since I've driven these cars around this track. But from memory, those are the sorts of times that we should be seeing. Which is going to mean that we're probably going to start to see those GTPs catching the GT3s by around about lap 10, maybe lap 13 at the latest. It's really going to depend on how many danglers there are in the GT3 field, kind of hanging back. But I think they should catch the leaders by at least lap 20 at the latest in this race. They'll probably come past them 2 times throughout, maybe 3 times throughout tonight's events as well.
Yeah, it's always awesome to watch them just have that added little bit of difficulty. I know I sound a little bit like a sadist now, but it's great viewing as well, and hopefully we get to see that tonight. And that's no doubt. We see Maddie in the chat. Let's go Hughes. You know Hughes is quick. Porsche King, we all call him here at SRW, and a very, very, very cautious outlap for him. He's just getting a little bit of temp in those tyres, but if anyone knows how to do a lap here, it's Hughes. He's been up thereabouts all season, and that's the knowledge he has in this car. I do believe he's done a Daytona 24 or 2, so could be Adam Hughes' night here tonight.
Yeah, would not be surprised if he's done quite a few Daytona races. I believe he was even a part of the Daytona 8 Hour when Simsa was still a thing at the start of the year. But yeah, he's got a lot of history, a lot of pedigree in these GT cars, so he's definitely going to be one of the stronger competitors out there tonight, obviously alongside his teammate as well, Greg Barber. He's normally quite a strong driver. Even Harry Dodds. It'll be interesting to see how Harry Dodds' mindset is after the incident that occurred last week with Greg on the first lap out at Red Bull Ring. So it's going to be whether his mind is clear and ready to race out here tonight at Daytona.
And that's the beauty about being in such a good team, the probably Juice team. A big team now, and very supportive as well, so that would have been their key goal. Well, not just him, but some other drivers in the team that may have not have had results in that week. And you just get in together and you just say, all right, let's go on, put it behind you. And I'm sure Braden and the team have loaded him with knowledge and sort of coping mechanisms, if you would. It's almost like a psych class here in a minute, but no, it's just important, that mental side of it, and your teams or his team would have been getting him ready. Harry's there. He's definitely probably not happy with his consistency at the moment, but definitely in the last 6 months I've noticed the speed from Dodds just get better and better as he's just gone to the top with that time as they start to come in.
I think it'll be good for him as well now that he's got Jono out there with him. Good to have a teammate in the same class, of course. I mean, he has got a couple of teammates in the GTP field, but to have that driver with him in GT3s is going to do a lot for him in terms of being able to help him battle against other drivers and just bring the fight to the rest of the field as well. So, having a teammate out there is going to be incredibly helpful for him. It's going to do a lot for him as well in terms of, as I mentioned, battling for positions. I've just noticed Michael Schroeder out there. I don't know if we've actually seen Michael Schroeder this season. We could have very possibly seen him earlier in the season. I believe we did actually from memory, but good to see him back out there having a crack in that Fez, not running the team paint that he was running for Accelerate Sim Racing. I can't even remember if he's actually still with the team or if he left this season. I did see a couple of rumours around that, but good to see him having a crack again here tonight around such a famous circuit for sports car racing.
One thing I do know about Schroeder is whatever he gets in, he's quick and competitive. So he's chosen the Ferrari, as you rightly pointed out. Pretty handy car, and I'm not too sure if that's going to be the car of choice here tonight, mate. I don't really have too much experience with it, but I would probably have to say maybe the driving style of possibly even the Beamer or maybe the Porsche, but I don't know, that's just me in my ways of thinking.
My last attempt at the 24-hour was going to be in a BMW. That was the car that felt strongest, which was not this past year. Was it this past year or the year before? It was either this year's 24-hour or last year's 24-hour. And then the 24-hour race that I did before that was in the Lambo, which that was around the time when the Lambo first actually came out. So that was when it was actually quite strong. But the Beamer this last race that I was going to do around here, that was definitely the strongest option. I think the front engine, real good downforce on it. I think it's going to do a lot of good for it. Same with the Macra as well. Very, very similar, although that's a more coupe type, where this is kind of more like a two-door sedan sort of thing. So I think it's going to be interesting to see, but I definitely think the Beamers are going to be an option. I mean, we already see Jamie Christensen out there in a Beamer. He was pretty strong last time out, of course, but we'll have to wait and see how he goes. Tyler Sheaf, we had a word to Sheafy the other night after the F3s, and I think he was pretty eager to get into more racing into the series. It's good to see him out there having a crack in the FAF Porsche. That's the livery that he is running on that car here tonight. And just it's good to see drivers having a crack at something new or something that they haven't driven in a fair while.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I can't drive Porsches, to be honest. There's something about that car, my driving style and the Porsche does not mix. It mixes with a lot of people, but I don't enjoy driving them. But then the delivery, it looks different. It must be a box out of the sort of a stock one out of the box, I should say, because I'm not too sure. That's a very popular Porsche livery that I've seen around the traps, especially in officials, Hamish, and to all the viewers out there. Dry Schultz has just taken the you-know-what. It's a long-running joke with the fishies, so if you're going to say happy birthday to anyone, Dry, say it to the fishies, not me, because it's definitely not my birthday.
We've had Stefan in the chat as well saying the BMW is quickest on the straight, but the Porsche is the quickest on the infield, and that kind of makes sense, being that the Porsche for some reason gets some real good turn in, real good downforce. I feel like the Beamer may be stronger just based on the fact of how much top end speed is going to be worth in that bowl section. I mean, if you're able to hold the lead throughout the bowl and into turn one, then you should be able to hold off the Porsches in the infield, but I think it's going to be a very good contrast between those cars.
Sure is. We've got a couple of drivers that are in different classes, I do believe, but they're not showing like that on my screen, so I'll fix that in the background, mate. But Christensen and Nixon is showing in the GTP, so I'll get that fixed and we'll roll with it. So, you know me, I can't do two things at once, Hamish, so give me 30 seconds, mate.
That's all right, buddy. I can keep talking about this. So, of course, Christensen, I mean, he had a very good outing last time out at Red Bull Ring, and he's come in this week, come out of the Porsche into the Beamer. So, of course, he obviously must feel this is the actually strongest option for him here tonight. I think he is definitely going for that mindset of pace around the bowl is going to be stronger than the downforce in the infield. Currently sitting P1, provisional P1 at the moment in the class, and then we've got Hughesy and Barber in behind in the Porsches. So, of course, Hughesy, Barber, they've been some real strong drivers out there for the GT3s. Barber will really want to be kind of taking advantage of what happened last time and try and get back up the field this week before the final round. He is within a championship hunt, and he really needs to get a strong position this week and a strong finish, being that last week's finish probably did not benefit him at all in terms of his championship hunt. Hughesy, of course, hasn't showed up for enough rounds. He knows he's not in the championship fight, so he's going to try and do everything he can to help Greg make his way up the field into P1 and get maximum points here tonight. Interestingly enough, Harry Dodds currently sits P4, not too far behind Greg. We saw them come together last week, and hopefully we don't see that happen again off the start, being that we are on the bowl for the start here tonight. And well, it's going to be a wild and wacky start. There should be a fair gap left between those GTPs and those GT3s just to stop any finagling happen and anything poor happening between them. But it's whether these guys can actually survive down to turn one, or hell, even past the start-finish line, because GT3s didn't even make it to the start-finish line last time out. They barely made it around the final corner.
Yeah, it was a bit of a messy one. We've got a bit of treat for the viewers tonight. We'll be able to see exactly what happens as both classes go green. But 20 seconds gap between the GTP and GT3. I think I read somewhere, Hamish, and both have to go by the same rules. So I think the leaders of both classes have to wait until the pole sitter rather has to wait until the exit of the final corner. So that should clean it up a little bit from last week. I'm not too sure if we're running the same sort of rules last week, but I do think there was only about a 10-second gap. So if I've read right, they've doubled that gap between the GTP and the GT3 classes.
I think that's a smart move. Of course, though, this track a bit longer than Red Bull Ring. So there's a bit more space to leave that gap between the prototype and the GT3. Oh, massive moment there, though, from Connor Nixon through the bus stop. Oh, and for John O'Kiley as well. Somehow Marty Mitchell actually gets through. Tell you what, Kylie was lucky that he was in that rear-engine Fez then, because if he was in any of the front-engine cars, that could have very easily been a blown engine and forced to tow back to pits in the race if that happens. So, you know, we mentioned that this could be the spot that we see a safety car dwell from. And these drivers are just going to have to be a bit careful and a bit tentative when dancing their way through that bus stop. I hope they brought their Mikey tonight, Peter, because they're going to need it.
Oh yeah, 100%. And communication is key. And I'll tell you, it would have been costly for them two drivers, because you've only got 3 minutes left out on track for the GT3s. Well, they're going to have one more go at it, you would think. But Christensen, 143.3 is the provisional pole, 43.6, so 6/10 between them. 43.8, so only 2 between them. So top 3 in the 43s. Middle pack, as we've been seeing, or pretty much the rest of the GT3s are all in the 44s, and the field spread between the 44s is only by around about 6/10. So 6/10 and 8 drivers.
It's going to be uber close. Uber close. Like, there's going to be absolutely nothing in it. Let's go on board with Adam here, see if he does another lap, or Alexander as well. He's coming around the final corner. Either one of them, if we go on board with them, we can check out how they tackle this final run, being that they're likely only going to get 1 or 2 more laps in this thing.
I just changed the view on the replay, and I looked at the screen. I'm like, why didn't it change? But that's on the replay. Fairly tentative. I think he's going for a lap here, Hamish. And well, as we all know, you're a legend with your knowledge about these classes. So I'll let you explain it, mate. I'll shut up a little bit.
So, mate, we saw they're hard under brakes for that corner, all the way down to first gear, interestingly enough. You can run second, but you get a better run out in first. Holds 4 through the kink, of course. Should be hard on the brakes as soon as you get into the cones. Does exactly that. All the way down to first for this next corner again. Gives you the better run through the corner, but second gear normally lets you have a little bit more comfortable driving through there. It's a little bit more stable. Down to second for the next corner. Needs to be careful not to lose the rear end on exit. Hard on the throttle as soon as he's able to. Up onto the bowl, and he should go all the way down as we see the curvature from the gyro cam of this bold section. Should get all the way up to 6th gear, down towards the bus stop. There's going to be a massive run for him. Needs to keep it nice and tidy. If he can, he wants to hook it in right next to the wall, get that sideways draft. You'll see a yellow sign on the left-hand side. That's where he's going to be braking. He did it just before the 1. Down to 4th, down to 3rd. Should hold 3rd through here. Does do that. Doesn't get the off-track. Perfect run through the bus stop for him. And now run all the way back up to 6th gear once again, Peter, and he'll be running it all the way to the line. So hopefully better his time, which was a 1:44.5 second, 5.7. That was his previous best around this circuit.
Yeah, that was a pretty good and committed lap. We probably picked the perfect time to do that when they're all flying. And wow, I thought the GTPs looked like they were going to fall over on that banking. Didn't the GT3? The banking on this track, I don't think it's the steepest in iRacing, but that'd be tricky, especially because we don't really see it from outside the car. But you'd probably get motion sickness after an hour in this thing. But clean lap, and it's almost time, or it is time, in fact, to get the GTPs out on track. Well, I think, if I'm
they are starting to come out. They are starting to come out on track. So slowly but surely they are coming out. Let's have a look at some of our new angles we've got on some of these cars, Peter, as they do their outlap here. We'll start with the Caddy, of course, on board with Crummy here. We can just scroll through some of the cameras, of course. Oh, didn't ya? Well, you missed out.
I just thought of it then. As you said it, I downloaded it and didn't do it. What I'll do a sneaky at some point, and I'll see if I can black the screen so they can't see my thing. But
maybe if we have a warm-up session here tonight, we can have a look at it. let me have a look at the thing. We'll see if we have a warm-up. If we have a warm-up, we can do it during the warm-up, and then we can see. We don't. We're going straight into the race. That's fine. That'll be there for next time. Don't worry.
Hamish's work goes astray.
It's fine. It's fine. It means I'll be able to get all the GT3s done before next Friday, and we'll have all new cameras for every single car on boards and stuff like that. So But it'd be interesting to see. The Caddy is the car of choice for these drivers, and well, it's probably the same reason why they chose it out at Le Mans, just because of the straight line speed that it gives them. You know, it has a massive advantage in a straight line. Not going to give them as much of an advantage as what it did at Le Mans, which I think is why there's still some Beamers and Acura and a couple of Porsches out there still, because that infield can still be a very strong section for drivers, and sometimes it is actually worth it. I mean, we've seen some Porsches chosen in the GT3 class. Sometimes it is actually worth having that stability through the infield, more so than having the pace around the bowl section, because it's good to have the pace around there, but you've still got to be stable and quick through this infield section as well.
Yeah, well, and it gives you a little bit of a breather as well, is what I've heard in conversations, is that once you get out on onto the bowl or the oval section, whatever you want to call it, once you get out there, you're sort of, okay, all right, where am I? Cool, sweet as, and then it's like your one circuit or one lap around here is sort of done in 2 phases, as you just see a little bit of an error on the exit there for Crummy. Yeah, you put everything in it in the infield, and then you can relax a little bit on the bowl. But I'm sure that once we got some lap traffic or different class traffic into it, I don't think they're going to be much resting in there. But I don't know. I'd be trying to use this section here that Crummy's on as just a little bit of a breather, as you know the supercars use Conroy.
Yeah, I mean I think the GT3s are going to get a lot more of a breather around that section, just based on the pace differential. It's not going to take them as long to get to the bus stop. You kind of just have to keep the memory in your head of, or kind of have it tattooed under your eyelids. Once you actually exit the corner and get onto the straight, that's when you need to start focusing up a little bit more. You can still have a little bit of a break and a breather, but you need to be focusing in on how you're going to enter the bus stop, and if you have anyone attacking you down the inside up towards that corner as well. We've already got some times coming in here, Peter. Grotch goes P1 at the moment with a 1 minute 30.12. Hasler goes second, 1 minute 30.59. Those are the only 2 drivers at the moment in the 30s. Whiting the closest in P3 with a 131.64. As Mazzomo just beats him out, though we spoke about him earlier, gets a 131.49. And then Edwards gets into the 30s after that with a 30.77, P1 to P5. Currently all Cadillacs, with Ashley DeVries separating them in P6 in his Porsche.
Yeah, we knew they were going to be. Strong out here today, as you told me that just before we went live. A little bit talk of car selection. A little bit disappointing. Only one Acura out there in Dougie Gowans. Although these guys, they know their car selection for each track and stuff like that. I do believe you can change it in class for each track without stuffing up your points or anything. But the caddy, how many's that? 3, 4, 5, 6 caddies in only a field of 14 GTPs.
Actually, there's actually 8 caddies. Half the field is Cadillacs, because Chris Tomlin and Shane Newens, neither of them have actually done a lap yet. So those 2 boys still need to be able to complete a lap. Fritzy also has not completed one. Now, whether he's in the GT3 or the GTP class, that is the question. But then also Ferguson in his Porsche, he has also not completed a lap just yet. So it could be an interesting race to come. Peter, it is looking like the Cadillac is going to be the dominant feature here tonight for those GTPs once again. But the speed differential could bring us some tasty battles between those Cadillacs, as Simpson goes P5 in his BMW, separates the Cadillacs once again, knocks Mez out of the top 5. Look at Scotty Van Loon here, Quantum Peggy's Performance Racing. He had a good run in Split 1 of Vets this season. Of course, that season's now finished, and he can solely focus on this one for the last 2 weeks of the season here. See what sort of a lap time he can pull. He's a fast driver in a supercar. Let's see if he can match it here tonight in a GTP. Doesn't manage to beat his previous time, I do not believe. I know he does. He goes 132.45. Still good enough for P11, but has a little bit of work to do to beat out the young gun Ty Delaney, currently sitting in P10.
Yeah, he's impressive, the young fella. Still got, lots to learn as a race driver. But I tell you, he's picked it up. He's learnt. He's taken everything in his stride. Learned from probably the best. His old boy in his team, and old. I'll say that because he has a birthday every day. But he's going to be a driver out here to watch. And it was funny. I think we spoke to, I think it was Mike or Blake last week, and he was getting pushed by one of them guys. I can't remember who it was right now, Hamish, but we spoke to them, and I said, look, this is probably good training in the call, and I dropped that by him, and he said, yeah, 100%. So the rest of the fishy boys, they're giving him a hurry on as if they would anyone else, and they're just racing, and he's learning. So the big gain out of that team right now is this young fella, if he takes it on board. And this series and the other series that he does here on SRW, with his speed and his progression, shows that he's taking every ounce on board. He's a sponge still, isn't he?
Mate, you cannot be more wrong on that one. Oh, sorry, you cannot be more correct on that one, I should say. Wrong choice of words there. You're right. He's got so much he can learn and so much more room to grow. Being that he is so young, he's going to do so much more progression as he comes into adult life. I think he turns 18 in like 4 years. He turned only 14 this year. So, but he's got so much more room to progress. I hate to think how fast he's going to be when he's eventually 40 odd and old enough to join a series like Vets, for example, because he could be one of the fastest drivers out there for sure. Scott Hasler doing a very good job at the moment. His best time, remember, is a 1:30.08. Currently sitting provisional pole position, following around Dougie Gowans in his Acura. Just quickly back to Scotty Van Loon just for a moment here. I know he lives in WA. I'm not sure how close he lives to Perth, but I am hoping that he doesn't live too far away. I hope that he doesn't live too close to Wanneroo, or anyone else who may be watching based down at Wanneroo. They recently had some pretty bad bushfires over there, and hoping for anyone's safety who may be living out in that area, and hoping that fire can be contained to a safe level, that people can return to their homes, and hoping that not too many people have lost their homes either out there in the west.
Yeah, it's going to be a bad fire season, and one of our drivers out here is a hero in all that. Luke Crum, as you know, is a firefighter, so takes it in his stride. He's very busy though. It's hard to string a conversation because they're so busy. But yeah, just to mirror what you're saying, mate, they're all the guys and girls that are out in those areas, stay safe, because it's only just begun, and it's begun super early. So for people like Crummy, mate, we owe them a beer or 100, and for the guys and girls that are in those areas, we wish us all the best, because fire, I think, is the second most powerful force in this earth, mate. So it's reckless, ruthless, I should say. But I tell you, I wouldn't like to be in those areas at the minute as we get back to the racing. That 30.0 is almost tickling on a 29 with 5.5 minutes to go in qualifying. Will we see a 29? He's close. He's only 800s.
Yeah, mate. I mean, Grotch as well, who we're focused on at the moment, he's only just over a 10th away from that as well. So not too much time for him to gain to get into those 29s. I must also just give you a quick little shout out here, Peter. That was a phenomenal segue over to Crummy, just based off bushfires. That was fantastic. Completely beat me to that mark for sure. But these top two boys, these Frog Leap boys, they are leading the charge at the moment. They're setting the pace out there. Hasler's been having a strong championship charge. Grotch has been doing well as well throughout a couple of rounds. So it'll be interesting to see how they go across this race, and if their pace can continue and be consistent over the hour that we'll be racing around this Daytona circuit.
An hour. It seems, it doesn't roll off the tongue. It's an hour. Okay, I'll jump in. I'll do an hour, and then if I feel comfortable, I'm going to double stint and do 2. But right here, it's 1 hour. It's going to be interesting. Is that a cue? Not a cue. Is that going to be the reasoning behind a safety car, or a little bit of lapses of concentration? Because, well, you can go. I didn't look at it this way, Hamish. It's 1/24th of the time frame, but you can go 24 times harder, can you?
Well, looking at it that way, I suppose you could. You don't have to be as conservative as you would in a 24-hour race. Remembering as well that these GTP cars, their stints regularly would be about 40 to 45 minutes. You wouldn't be hard-pressed to claim these guys would try and do doubles in those cars for the 24-hour, maybe even a triple here or there. So anyone who's had 24-hour experience should be well adverse to doing an hour in this car. GT3 should be more than ample to do that. A full stint in those cars is an hour, and majority of the time you are doing doubles around this track in the 24-hour race. So it's only a half stint pretty much, being that you're doing doubles on a regular basis in the 24 hours. So the GT3 should be fine out there, and depending if the GTP drivers have actually got experience in this race in that top class, then they should be fairly okay too, because it works out to around about a stint and a half instead of a full double stint for them. So, but you know, I think we'll definitely see at least one pit stop here tonight, being that they have got limited fuel. It's a matter of if the actual setups are limited to doing 2 pit stops or just one, and that's what could be the real change up for them in terms of strategy out there tonight.
2 things I took out of that, Hamish. A, I'm going to really be rooting for my zero safety cars, because I really do want the GTPs to have to pit. And second thing, I want the fuel to be limited, the starting fuel to be limited, not only on the GT3 but GTP as well. So then let's get those GT3 guys into to pit once, possibly twice as well. And I don't want to see a safety car though, but I want to see the field close. I am cutting my cake and trying to eat it, Hamish, is what I'm trying to say.
I think next season, one thing that could be looked at for this series is the intro. Oh, that's a big moment there from Ash DeVries into the blue wall of death. I think one thing that could be put into play for next season is possibly the introduction of 2 compulsory pit stops for these cars. I think that would really spice it up a little bit. Yeah, in a window, I think you'd go from maybe lap 3 into the race up to maybe, I don't know, or it really depends actually because of the time. So maybe you could say you have to do 2 pit stops. If it's an hour-long race, maybe between the 10-minute mark and the 50-minute mark or the 40-minute mark, and you must do a 20-minute stint in the end if you want to go all the way to 40 minutes to get that second pit stop in. I mean, that may be able to swing it a little bit, but definitely limit the fuel off the start. You know, you have them with less fuel, but allow them to completely fill up all the way. So then they actually have to get some strategy involved in how they want to do their pit stops, knowing that they can make an hour on fuel for the GT3s at least and 45 minutes on fuel for the GTPs. So it may force some hands in the GT3 field to go for a full fill on one stop and then just take tyres on another. And the GTPs would be a little bit less open, but I think it'd be really interesting to see what the strategy plays are going forward for certain races.
It's always good watching the strategies play out, but if there is a safety car, that may... I suppose if we start on 100, that negates the pit stop, but I think the admin crew behind this, they're a little bit wiser than what I am, so I'm hoping to see at least 1 stop in each class, and GTPs might even push out to 2, maybe, obviously if we stay green. 130.0, 130.1, 130.3, they're the top 3, Hasler, Grotch and Edwards. Mazzomo is he's towing a driver around at the moment. He's just inside the top 5. Remember, he put it on, I think he was close to pole in the early stages of this quali with that 130.7. I do believe he hasn't improved on that 130.7 since he put it on provisional pole. But 10 seconds to go, and it's open quali, so they'll get to finish their lap if they cross the line. So Mazzomo, he's only halfway round. He's shit out of luck there, mate. So this time what he's going to put out this lap is going to have to stand.
Yeah, mate. I mean, I think I'm just looking at my setup here for the Cadillac, and it's currently sitting, I believe, at a 57.8 litre max fuel for that car. So that's currently what the go is for that. I'm pretty sure, and I believe that would be the same for all the cars as well. So I believe there is limited fuel for these GTPs here tonight, which is good because it will mean that we will actually get a pit stop in for them. As we have got, we got Greg Barber in the chat as well saying good day to us, as well as Chiefy saying I need a turtle on my car. So good to have some of the GT3 boys checking out the action whilst they're waiting for their time to get back on track for the race here tonight, Peter. And I think we're going to be in for some wild action, as this should be the end of qualifying now that we have just ticked over to 31 minutes into the session.
Grotchi 130.082 levels for pole position. 130.08. We have. Can we double stack the cars on P1?
That would most likely have actually gone down to the thousandth. I would say.
How can you change it?
So SDK, the actual SDK program only reads to the 100th, but the actual timing tower should be reading to the 1000th. So unless they've actually gone exact on the 1000th, then they should be slightly different times.
Yeah, well, on the timing tower, 082. So you did
They've
right
gone
on
exact.
That. Exactly.
They've gone exact.
To the 1000th, everybody. Our pole position, that's it. They're both done. They both are out of it. P1 and 2, exact same times, Hamish. How close is that for one? And I'm going to say this is the first time I've seen pole position split by 0.
Mate, that is, I think that's the first of it. I mean, the only other time I've seen that in real life is, I believe it was the 1997, I want to say, Spanish Grand Prix around Jerez, where the top 3 qualifying cars got the exact same time. Their times, I think, went into the tens of thousands, but they all just got given the same time on the actual timesheet. It was Schumacher, Villeneuve, and Heinz-Harald Frentzen. All 3 of them got the exact same time. This is the first time I've ever seen it on not only just in a league race, but on all of iRacing. I've never seen the exact same time come out for pole sitters. So I would argue Scott deserves the pole position because he actually got the lap time first. But Brendan did a really, really good job to match that then at the end of qualifying and to guarantee his car on the front row of the grid alongside Scott.
Yeah, that's just unreal to have them this close, this late in the championship. This is the point. This is how much it counts, or it means to these guys to do well in this championship. And hopefully these guys will be back next season. And they can have another go again, clean slate this time. So how good is that going to be for next season? Let's hope these drivers stick around. Hopefully Hamish sticks around, and hopefully the crew stick me around, mate. But the grid, well, let's get to it and let's read her out.
Yeah, mate, starting in pole position here tonight for the GTP class. We mentioned it. I mean, technically, it's both Brandon Grotch and Scott Hasler. They got the exact same time in qualifying. They will start alongside each other on the front row of the grid. Jake Edwards will then come in P3, just beside Simon Mazzomo at a P4, with Michael Whiting coming in P5. 5 Cadillacs in a row off of qualifying here tonight. Adam Simpson will then come in P6 in his BMW, just ahead of Ash DeVries for Velocity Racing Team in his Porsche. Luke Crum will then come in P8, just ahead of Dougie Gowans, the only Acura out in the field, in P9, with Jack Anderson making up the top 10. Scotty Van Loon will then come in P11 here tonight, just ahead of Ty Delaney out of P12. Jordan Ferguson qualifying out of P13. Shane Newens will then qualify out of P14 here tonight, with Chris Tomlin making up the rear of the grid for the GTP class as we get into the GT3s. Peter, how are they looking here tonight?
They're looking pretty good, and I keep forgetting to do this every round. Here we go, GT3. Christensen and Barber, we fixed the timing. They are ruled in the right class this time. They'll have the first row for the GT3. Adam Hughes and Harry Dodds will have the second. Connor Nixon and Aaron Schotter will have the third, the GT4, the GT3. Gnotis and Benici out of 7th and 8th. Keeley and Hodgkinson out of 9th and 10th. Schroeder, watch him move up today. Tyler Sheaf starting out of 12th. Marty Mitchell, Braden O'Loughlin, sorry brother, it's probably not the first time or the last time I've done that. Tyson McAvoy, he had to put himself on the charts by joining in that qualifying session, mate. He's going to be the safety car driver here tonight. Daytona World Centre of Racing road course, 1 hour, not 24. Round 8 of this championship, second to last of this series. It's going to be great. It's going to be a good break though, for me especially. But Hamish, the lights are coming up. It's a formation lap. Oh, I've been here more than once. I should get to that, but it's been a formation. It's a formation lap, and yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm interested to see why they might. No, they're not doing a formation lap, but we should be ready to go green here, as the GT3s are also waiting to get going as well. Peter, if we can get their start up on screen too. But the GTP should be ready to go here tonight, ready to go racing. We don't normally do a formation lap per se around Daytona. Normally it's just the rolling start. The safety car should pull into the pits as he comes around the final corner, and those GTPs will be getting ready to go as best they can down towards turn 1 at full pace.
And they're both regarded down to the same rules as well, so the leader of each corresponding class cannot go until you're on the exit of the final corner, so we'll be able to get a good shot of this. But this is the first time we've shown it, and hopefully we can keep showing it and find a better way to show it. But definitely the GTP drivers are just about to get set to go racing. They're nice and tight. They've gone over the Geico restart. Round 8 is underway and they're off. It's nice and clean for the GTP. A little bit of a slow start off the second row, but it's all nice and well as they go down into that turn 1-2 section. Yeah, they're all through nice and cleanly. Grotch, Haslam, Edwards as your P3s. The GT3s are just about ready to get going.
Yeah, mate, they're coming down now towards the start-finish line here. Christensen, Barber, these boys will be leading the way down towards turn 1. When does Barber go? He goes now as they are about to cross the line. He gets in there nice and quickly comparatively to the other boys. He's hoping to lead them all nicely through turn 1. How do they go here? Down into this corner, looking nice and tidy at the moment. There's Kylie following them through. One of the cars has started out of the pit lane, of course, for the GT3s, but they're looking pretty good as they come up through turn 4, the big double right-hander.
Well, that was a good start from both classes. Roch, Hasler, Simpson, Mazomo, Edwards, that's your top 5 in your GTP. And your GT3, that was a very, very good start as Mazomo down the inside. Oh no, that was Jake Edwards, I think, around the outside.
Yeah, we can see here Edwards bringing the fight. Simpson has copped a penalty. He's copped a slowdown from that curb hop. It's a big curb strike. You do not want to have to cop that in this race, especially this early. Needs to be incredibly careful. We can see the run though. Whiting's got on Mazomo. This is how strong the toe is, and this is what's going to be the battle throughout this race, is the back and forth, the switching of positions throughout these laps, and kind of waiting to get the benefit of it towards the end of this race here tonight.
As you have a look, they go through, and I tell you, it's disheartening to hear someone's already copped a penalty, someone's already lost their rear wing. Who was that as they passed the cameras? Oh, that was a clip, net code if you will, but early on in any race to get a penalty or lose your rear wing.
Yeah, mate, Dougie Gowan, Scotty Van Loon, both those guys are already into the pit lane as well off the back of the second lap, or onto the second lap I should say, sorry. So those boys now they'll have a lot of clean air around them. That could be a bit less of a benefit from them though, being the fact that they're now going to be without a toe and they're going to have to try and fight back to get through the field. And I believe Dougie Gowans has only just come out ahead of the GT3s. Van Loon is still in the pits, so could be some big damage on his car for sure if he's dropping down the field. As Tyler Sheaf has had an incident back in the GT3 field. Let's see what's happened to him, Peter, because you see him here. He's had a moment down at turn 2. We'll get the replay up on screen to see what's happened to him down at that area that we have mentioned throughout this race.
Yeah, it's slowed down for some reason. Let's speed that back up, get it at real time. This is what I do in the Porsche. Oh, it's by himself too. There's everyone. Oh, that's...
Yeah, he's just coming too wide. He hasn't actually hooked it tight enough. And letting it run wide to that and turning it in this car is that can be pretty detrimental to your racing outfit and trying to keep the car on track.
Yeah, a few drivers out there that made their job just that little bit harder. Mate, as we see a couple of drivers in the pits as well, so I'll go digging for a replay. But it's been so good. It's been good so far. No safety cars. GTPs are fighting fierce. How good do the GTPs look under lights?
Mate, they look absolutely fantastic. I mean, for anyone who's ever driven in the 24-hour race, well, they would know that this is probably one of the scariest moments of the race is when you get into the dark and you're just trying to stay awake. And majority of the time, the dark time is that midnight shift, the time from 12 a.m. to around about 4:30 in the morning, maybe even 5 o'clock. That's normally the peak time when it is dark. It normally starts to get dark early in the race. So that's what's, it's a scary time. But these drivers should have plenty of expertise and experience racing in these sort of time zones for this race. And I think it just brings an absolutely spectacular showcase for how these cars look on track, being that I don't even think we've had a night race so far this season, and it's probably the best track for it just because of the lighting on the circuit.
Yeah, 100%. They do look good under lights. Aaron Schotter and Greg Barber, though, in a bit of a rip snorter, but they seem to settle themselves out. Greg Barber, he's a winner out of that one. Van Loon and Newens back in the lane again. I see. I'm not too sure if they've still been in there. No, they're not. 35 seconds plays 48 seconds. So they're in the world of hurt at the moment with the top 5 in the GT3s, I believe. So Christensen is leading. Hughes, Dodds, Ganotis, and Barber. That's your top 5.
Yeah, man. That is our current top 5. Good little spread of car types in there as well. Got one of every car type out on track for the GT3s in amongst it here tonight. Really, really good to see as well. Of course, Dodds and Barber, these guys are in a heavy championship battle. Ganotis is in that fight too, as well as Schotter. It's good to see these guys fighting amongst themselves. Christensen is just out there for bragging rights at this point. But it's good to see, and it's good to see these battles happening on track between these cars, because they can get super close and fight super tight the majority of the way.
Those fast battles, they love the battle. Hughes is right on the back of I think Christensen now, or it looked on the timing. 0.2, that's what 0.2 of a second looks like. Hamish, I tell you, 0.2 on the timing looks a lot more entertaining than that gap. 0.2 here at Daytona's like 5 car lengths. I'm surprised. I suppose they were on the bowl when they were doing that as well at 300 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, it's a lot more spread out than what you might think, just because of the pace around the bowl section. But it does change up to being like, 0.1 is very, very close on the infield, of course. But yeah, there's a lot of space between them sometimes in the bowl, and it says it's barely anything, but it is actually quite big. Closest battle on track at the moment for the GTPs is currently Adam Simpson and Crummy, who gets around him as well. They go 2 wide through 2 and 3. Anderson wants to get in on the back of this as well. We know he's good friends with Crummy, so they might even work together here to take the position from Simpson. Although Crummy may just laugh at him and walk away from him at this point, just say do it yourself. But
I think that's what he's done.
He might have to, as they've already caught the GT3s. So it only took them 5 minutes. Yeah, it only took them 5 minutes. I think that was because of the 20-second gap that they were already led as well. It was a bit further, so they caught them a bit quicker here tonight. But that's really going to change up how fast they would actually normally catch them. That means they're probably going to catch them, could be 5 times, maybe even 6 times here tonight, quite possibly. Could be even more. We'll just have to wait and see. It also depends if we get any safety cars as well.
Yeah, might have to get Matt in the comments to elaborate a bit more. Usually when Ash DeVries is in 9th position, there's a 6 in front of that. Please don't put that out. I'm done for reading it out.
I love how you read. I love how reading that out, it clicked in your brain of what he actually meant.
Yeah, which is, what did I say? I don't at the start of the broadcast. I don't like on-screen planning, and at the worst possible time. We'll keep it PG. Cheers, mate. But yes, Hasler, Edwards, Mazzono, Grotch, and Whiting top 5, and then back in the GT3s. Wherever they start, Adam Simpson's got the lead. Anderson, DeVries. No, that's not right.
That's the GTPs. It's currently Christensen, Hughes, Dodds, Ganotis, Barber. That's the top 5 for those boys. Notice as well, it's already top 6 cars of the GTPs is already all Cadillacs.
No surprises there. No surprises there. It's getting close too. There's lots of things in there. So the lap traffic, what I've just seen, and we've seen that throughout already, is once they trip over each other like this, the battles just square up in both classes. If you have a look now, there was battles. There's already about 5 battles in each class forming, and that's only the first time that each class, I'm going to call it tripping over each other, because I think that's what it looks like.
Hey, they're going to be like scrambled eggs out there. These timing towers are going to be swapping and changing the more and more that these guys are having to deal with the traffic, especially now that the GT3s are nice and close together. It's really going to change up who in the GTP field is actually going to take advantage and make those moves past. Actually, no, and I was actually pretty close to my prediction because they're only coming past the leader at 9 minutes into this race, and I said it might take him about 10 minutes, so I wasn't actually too far off my prediction on that one. But yeah, I think it's probably more likely they're going to catch those GT3s, at least the leader of the GT3s, 5 times here tonight, being that we will have a pit stop in there to kind of break them up again.
I think something's happened or gone a little bit astray here with Schroeder, Crummy, and Ganotis, all in a bit of a situation here. I'll just grab the replay as he picks it up. Let's have a look.
Replay settings, so quarter. Oh, into the wall. That's a massive contact. We spoke about it pre-race, Peter. That's one of the easiest things to do, and it is one of the most dangerous sections of the circuit. He was lucky he's in the Fez. As we mentioned, if he was in a front engine car, that could have very easily been an engine blown, and could have very easily as well been a tow back to pits and a safety car out on track.
Oh, there we go. Oh, he actually...
It is massive.
Let's go back. That was Crummy. Let's have a look.
I think it was Crummy with Simpson coming up on the bowl. Oh, you look at that. He got hit into there. Yeah, change your replay camera so it's TV1 or 2, Peter. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do this. Let's go. I'm going to go better again. I'm going to go dynamic so we can get to see an outreach of it. I'm third time lucky, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get back to live racing in a sec, but this was a big incident I missed. And Stefan McCartan, league admin, 3 wide, 2 different classes. Oh, trip over each other.
You see that there, and what that was there, that was them splitting the gap of the GT3, and they've just come together, not expecting both of them to be right there. Simpson there was hoping to come up alongside, I believe it was Ganotis in that Fez. He wanted to come up where Crummy was, didn't realise Crummy was there, and it's just gone right into the side of him, and it's caused a big accident. That's one thing that we've got to be careful of, and it's one of the reasons why I thought we should definitely see a safety car, because that sort of stuff can happen at any point around Daytona.
Adam Simpson's in the pit. Luke Crum is a little bit further down from where he wanted, although only down 1 from where he started. Have a look at this battle just going behind Luke Crum at the moment in GT3s. These guys are shooting for hammer cats and dogs and shooting. It's shotter, so there's a pretty good pun that wasn't intended. GTP just gets around. Split the GT3 cars there.
That was Ty Delaney coming through. This is the battle between Shotta, Benici, Kylie's in the background as well. Of course, Kylie and Benici, these guys are from the same team, so they'll be hoping to do a bit of tag team action on Aaron Shotta here tonight, the Kiwi out in the field. So it'll be Sean's first attempt to kind of put the attack on and get the moves done to him, maybe hit his finisher. And if he can't get it done, he might tag in Jono just to have a crack and try and get past him and help draw Sean forward with him as well.
Yeah, well, that's what you need. Teammates, especially in a track like this. A heavily damaged car of Schroeder starting to move back through the field in his Fez. 0.5 back from Sheepy. Yeah, he's going to be down in pace for the rest of the race, I do believe. No idea why he wouldn't have used his fast repair there, mate. I'm pretty sure
he probably doesn't realise he has the damage. He probably doesn't realise he has the damage, or he's copped the damage again. He has already. If I have a look here, so he's not coming to pit lane yet. So he may not realise he actually has that sort of damage on the front end, or he's not trying to lose too much out. I mean, he probably knows that if he loses the toe, then that's it. He'll be fighting in the weeds with himself for a fair while. So he may just be trying to nurse it all the way to the first pit stop so he doesn't actually lose out too much. But there's that balancing act, Peter, where you want to try and not lose out too much time on track, but you could actually be losing out more by driving around in a broken car. So you kind of need to determine what is the best course of action in terms of what you want to give up on track time or in pit time.
Yeah, well, that's it. And it's a calculation that you and your team make on the fly. What are we going to lose more? Do I pit now, stuff my strategy, or go to plan B as there's a battle even going on behind? But yeah, it's a balancing act. That's the teams and their spotters. That was a loose exit from Keeley there. He's going to lose out, although lose out on the draft is probably all he's going to lose out on. But yeah, it emphasises the team's responsibility in times like these. they need to say, all right, nah, come in, mate. You're way too slow. Come in, let's fix it. Or nah, stay out, mate. I don't care you're slow. We're going to pit soon. And times like these, you see that the teams that are smarter, this could be a smart move. And he can get away with it, mate, as this battle just keeps going on with Shotta and Barber, is it? Or no, Benici?
Benici. I'll tell you as well, there's a nice close battle up in the GTP field with, between Mez and Grocci. Those boys are separated by 0.3 of a second at the moment. They are battling hard for the final podium position, although a long way to go here tonight. We're already only 15 minutes into this thing, so still a fair way to go, Peter. But these boys will be fighting, I think, throughout the rest of this race, as long as they don't cop any contact between them like we've already seen between two GTPs here tonight.
For that, the third curb, as they get close, the third curb in the bus stop. See, there's the first, second. Oh, it's probably more so the fourth. I don't even think that was right. No, that was it. But yeah, maybe wouldn't that dirty you, Hamish, if you're 3 hours into a race, 0x, everything's going good. All you have to do is stick to the track as they're side by side. Brendan Grotch.
Mez will be smart here. He'll let him go. He'll tuck in behind him. We'll follow him around for this lap, and then he'll get the toe again, coming back up towards turn 1 next time by. He'll do the exact same thing that Grotch has just done to him.
And you got to be
very
careful of that.
To stop and change. You do, but
yeah,
that's kind of part of the play here at Daytona. Is you kind of swap and change positions for the majority of the way, and then you kind of start to defend with probably about 10 to 5 minutes to go. So they'll be happy to swap positions, and it'll actually help pull them forward. It's better to give the person the position and not battle with them, but stick with them. Otherwise, you can actually lose out time on the car ahead, especially when you're coming up on lap traffic, who can slow you down even more as well.
Yeah, and split racing or multi-class racing like this, and draft-dependent tracks anywhere. Well, I tell you, you got to be smart, and you've got to know when to work with your enemy, if I can call them that, because every other car on the track is your enemy. They want to take you out and they want to beat you, and you want to beat all of them. So it's funny as you just brought them two drivers out, as Scotch is starting to step away a little bit. But Mez is a smart driver, and he'll work with his enemy, inverted commas, to get his strategy in check, or keep his strategy in check.
Yeah, it'll also be about, it's a good opportunity to get into the draft and actually save a little bit of fuel as well. It is good just to kind of sit behind someone for a lap or so, being able just to lift and coast into some heavy braking zones, especially turn 1, especially the bus stop. You can actually save quite a lot of fuel across the course of the race, and it'll actually then help him with his later pit stop later in this race here tonight.
Let's go back to the GT3s just briefly. There's a 3-car battle. Around about 0.4 of a second in between them. It looks like Benici's got a little bit of damage. I think that may have been that. Oh no, just maybe the lighting just looked like he had a bit of a crippled guard. So pretty straight cars there, and 3 Fezzes battling it out, and like the Mez and battle up in the GTPs, it's all the same now. These drivers, they're just working with each other.
Yeah, that's exactly right, mate. Said it perfectly. They're going to be working together throughout this thing. It's pretty idiotic to try and get into battles at this point. You've got nothing to gain at this point in a race by battling someone. You're better off working with them, unless you are quite a fair bit faster than them on pace and you're really struggling to get around them. That's when you kind of want to get into a battle. But if you're on pace with someone, you are better just to work with them and stick in their toe or let them get in your toe, because you'll actually drag each other forward, as I mentioned, and it will really, really help drag all of you up towards the further top end of your your class. What it'll also do is it'll actually help you guys limit the possibility of having a crash and then being taken out. So if you work together and you get a safety car eventually, well, you guys are all going to come up behind the leaders, and you're not going to be in the pits. So that's also sometimes the strategy too, is just keeping it clean in case that happens. I mean, the officials, of course, you don't get safety cars with the D24 or the Raw before the 24, but in league races like this, it is good to put that into practice, knowing that you can get some safety cars.
And you don't plan for any race that there is going to be a safety car, although not that good at planning, so I do, but these drivers are better at planning than me, so they know can't plan for a safety car. And this is where the experience at this stage of the race right here. We've got a couple of little battles, but nothing too serious as that we've watched out for. But this is the experience playing out right now with all these drivers, and this is exactly what I was talking about at the top of the broadcast, Hamish. Right now, they want to go tooth and nail. They want to fight tooth and nail. We're just coming up to a halfway point in a little bit, and they're just clicking over the laps. All they want to see is that time go down into single figures, and then they'll just plant it. I sense in this race, albeit it's going to be a 45-minute race, you might as well say it's a sprint, very sprint compared to the 24 and even the 8 hours. But like a Bathurst, I do think in probably around about 10 minutes, and then 10 minutes following that, we will feel just the tempo go up a little bit, because right now they're just clicking over them laps. Just tally on the window, I think.
Just for a bit of information as well regarding that incident between Crummy and Adam Simpson. Alexander Ganotis is still in the pit lane from that incident. He's still fixing his car, so I think he may actually be done here tonight. Adam Simpson has also been given a black flag and then subsequently left the session, so I think he's actually cracked it here tonight as well after coming a penalty for that incident. So that's possible. That's one driver definitely out, Adam Simpson, and another one possibly out. Ganotis as well.
Yeah, unfortunate for them guys, and Adam Simpson. Well, he's probably going to get it from both ends, because he'll probably get a rear grid next week as well, because he didn't make the cool-down lap, which if you leave early, you didn't make the cool-down lap. So, yeah, unfortunate, but that's racing, and that's why we love it. Hasler, Edwards, Grotch, Mazzomo, Whiting's your top 5. Christensen, Hughes, Dodds, Barber, Schotter in your GT3s as they're coming around each other again. Lap 14, 21 minutes. We might as well, by the time I finish this spiel, we've just finished the first half of this race here at Daytona. Safety car free, mind you.
Yeah, mate, safety car free so far. I was under the impression it was going to be an hour-long race, but 45 minutes. It's only a stint for the GTPs, but they will need to put fuel in the car. And I must say as well, my prediction was right that it would take the GTPs 10 minutes to catch GT3s, because it did take them 10 minutes to catch the leader once again. So we're still on track for that. That would then show to me it's going to be 4 catches of the leader here tonight for the GT3 class from the leader of the GTPs as Grotch comes in, as well as his teammate Sean Benici, although they are in separate classes. De Vries also into the pits as well for Velocity Racing Team, as well as Ty Delaney from Fishy Motorsports. So as we focus on Ganotis, he's still in there. I think his race is pretty much done now. I think he's given up on that one, unless he wants to get back out there for the cool down lap, just to get some points in the bag for himself. So, but Mazzomo, Edwards, Whiting, these guys are in a battle for position, of course, although Mazzomo is kind of in the middle of their sandwich. He's about 5 seconds off the back of Edwards, nearly 4 seconds off the front of Whiting. He's contending with the leaders of the GT3 field then, but now he's been opened up and able just to push on towards his pit stop here tonight.
And he'll be loving this also. He's just going to push. He's got some air in front of him, air behind him, and he's going to push on. And let's see where Mazzomo gets out. He's still a favourite, one of the favourites of mine to be there and bounce. I don't know whether Hasler Edwards is going to let him. I don't think anyone's going to let him. I don't think there's going to be an opportunity there to get right on the back if we stay green. But Mazzomo, where's he? Let's throw some gaps up in relation to the leader. 8.2 seconds behind the leader for Mazzomo. So 8.2 seconds. Half the race still to go. Oh, he could probably still get to him, but yeah, Mazzomo right now, although he's burning all his fuel and stuff, he's a smart driver. 8.1 seconds now, so while I'm just talking about him, he's taking down time. Interestingly
as well, Peter, Whiting was actually caught up with the leaders of the GT3 field. He's now lost out 2 seconds off the back of Mazzomo from that, so he caught them at the wrong time and he's been held up. Anderson and Crum have now come into the pits. Ty Delaney is also disconnected from the session, so he's also out of tonight's race as well.
Got an incident I was going to have a look at, come back at the Ty Delaney leaving session. Chop's come up with a crash as well. We'll leave that one, but Ty Delaney. So this put on come back, came on track. So apologies. We'll go back a little bit more. Oh, he's loose on the entry. It's never a good feeling.
Oh, and he's gone way wide into the blue wall. And that's what I mentioned. You know, you come in a little bit too hot into that corner, and you just cook it straight up. And he's done that stake well done there. As he go though in this little section here onto the bowl. Remember, he is technically without a wing, and he just loses the rear end. I know it was showing his wing, but he was actually without one. The car would be acting like it didn't have it, and I think that might have really just lit the fuse for him in wanting to leave. And that's something that he will also improve with as he gets older. He'll get a better sense of tenacity and you know, a bit of resilience as well. I think, you know, being a bit younger may be, you know, he's still developing a little bit, obviously, as a young man, and as I mentioned, as he gets older, he'll get a little bit better with his tenacity and his patience, and he'll probably won't leave after an incident like that. He'll probably just keep on trucking along, but that's definitely something that he'll have to learn and deal with as he is progressing through his iRacing journey.
Quite a few times tonight and through other rounds as well, as Mizomo just starts to make his way around. He's also got Hasler, so Mizomo up the second, Jake Edwards in the third. Ty Delaney's got the best team around him to learn from that and gain the resilience, because it's good being up, but you need to know how to handle the down times. And this sport that we all know and love, motorsport, well, it's lots and lots of downtimes. We see the SVGs and the Scotty McLaughlins. We only see the guys in the peak at the top, really. But the guys that are making their way up or have the struggles, it really does it tests you to get over them. You know, the down times. You know, getting over the down times, I think, is more important than the good times. Mazomo's down the pit road again, so.
He hasn't actually come in yet, Peter.
Is that his first?
Yes,
I had Jake Edwards in as well.
Edwards also in. So Hasler should retake the lead of this race. Grott should retake P2. These guys are provisional P1 and 2 at the current stage. What'll be interesting to see is if Whiting actually gets past Mizomo or Edwards as well. I mean, you mentioned Fishy being a good team for Delaney to kind of improve and get his resilience and his emotional maturity up. I think what's good about Fishy for him, I think, is the actual spread of life experience those guys have, being that they have some people who are in vets, so obviously they're a bit older. There's people who are a little bit younger and kind of bridging the gap between the vets guys and Ty himself. I think he's got a good spread, as long as he's willing to listen and learn, of people who can give him some good life experience and help him get that mental tenacity and resilience up in future as he develops.
Yeah, I'll tell you, they have so many birthdays. That's why they've got a diverse age group.
365 birthdays a year, Pete.
Yeah, well, it's mine today, according to Jai Schultz. So it always started off happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to each other. And now it's somehow turned on me. But yeah, good team, and they taste a lot of success. That's on the back of a good team. You would have to say all the good teams that gel really well seem to have success. Happy birthday. Hey Dave, Kirby's in the chat.
Of course, good old Kirby. He did well last night actually in the vets. Unfortunately though, he missed out on P3 in the championship. He dropped a little bit too far down the order to hold on to that P3, but he still had a good showing all season, and I'm sure he'll be hoping to return next season to have another crack at a championship, although he does have to contest with one Scott Gamble, who is returning to the series next season, so he'll be hungry for another championship, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, he'll be hungry for the battles as well. Gamble's going to be a tough campaigner. Back to the GT3s, Van Loon Hughes down in pit road. Just surfing around these guys at the moment as they start to lift a little bit. The gaps are starting to come down. Pit strategies are coming into play, and I think the majority of all in fact, have come down pit road. So you would say that everyone is good to get home from here, and now now is the time for just that tempo just to lift a little bit. Edwards is on the back of Hasler. That's probably the closest battle on track at the minute.
Now, depending if some of the drivers who actually pit very early in this race, namely Ferguson, Gowans and Newens, they all pit lap 1 and 2. If they were able to actually put a full fill into the car, remembering they started with a half tank, if they're able to put the rest of the fuel in, they can get home. So they can make it if they're able to do that. If not, if they're only to do a half fill, then they're not able to. I've also just heard Adam Hughes over the radio. He's asking for race control to check something that's happened on the pit exit. So something's happened. Yeah, something's happened on the pit exit. Start of lap 17 apparently for him. But I'll wait to hear anything if anything happens out of that as well.
This is Adam Hughes' exit I've just picked up here. He's got a couple of cars around him. He's got a slow GTP car in front. That would in fact be the reason there. So slowing in pit road. Not too sure the ruling on that, mate. Safety car will be busy on that. It's a bit of a different one. We don't really see that in many series, but based in your experience, that could be a penalty. That GTP driver, mate, that was Jamie Christensen, possibly.
That was Van Loon.
Van Loon.
In that GTP. He was waiting there, I think, for the leader of the GT3 field and then one of the other GTPs to come past. But in that scenario, you're better just pulling out of pits or hanging it on the left-hand side of the track. If those guys are coming at you faster than you're exiting the lane, they're going to get past you regardless. You kind of got to think of it as like you're coming on or coming off a freeway. If you're coming out of pits, you're entering the freeway, you got to get up to the speed limit just so you can match in with them and kind of hook in and filter into the traffic nicely.
You started me. I'm in Queensland. Apparently people don't know how to merge in Queensland, so I have no idea. No, I do know what you're talking about. I'm going to have a look too, just on board with Adam as he left, because as you were elaborating what he should have done or what you would have done in that case, I just had a brain fade. Not fade, an idea. Would Adam Hughes possibly, he did cross that exit line, would he have maybe copped that's not it. Let's go back live, I'll pick it up again. I'm not too sure if he crossed that pit exit line.
Well, I did hear race control over the radio then. Unfortunately, I did miss a little bit of what they said. I think there might be a post-race investigation going into it, possibly. But that's the only information that I've got on it at the moment in time.
Let's have a look. So I've got it this time, and then we'll get back to live pictures.
Yeah, that's the control line. So Van Loon's gone way too slow on exit there. Also, as well, if you actually cross that white line on exit, you can actually cop a slowdown. So Van Loon should be far up on pace at that point. The green cones is the control line. So that's where you have to get back up to pace when rejoining the circuit. So that may be something coming Van Loon's way. I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to make the decision for race control, of course, as that is their job. But in that scenario, I think it does look a little bit poor from the GTP driver in that case.
Yeah, race control will do their thing with that one. But yeah, 32 into 45, 13 minutes to go, and Hasler is starting to put the pressure on Edwards right now. 0.6 of a second. Brocci's in there, 1.6 of that battle as well. So what have we got? 13 minutes to go. That's going to be a 3-car battle, I reckon, with these 3 guys. And going pretty good. 32 into 45. Hamish, 0 safety cars. I may get one right.
Yeah, you might do, mate. And I think this was definitely a race where it could have gone either way. Knowing the fact that it was really just dependent on how willing the drivers were to work with each other across both the classes. They've done very, very well to not kind of cause any big incidents. I think Ganotis' crash could have been a safety car if he'd actually blown the engine, but I think he was able to make it back to pits without any issues. But that incident could have been even bigger and caused something even worse. So they were actually pretty lucky to come out of it as unscathed as they did. But the majority of this field has done very, very well tonight, just to kind of stick out of each other's way, be patient, and just let them pass when they need to. This field's filled with incredibly smart drivers and some really, really good operators as well. Yes, there are a couple on the lower end, but at the top end of town or even in the middle of the park, they're all driving pretty consistently and quite well as well.
And that's the beauty of this league as well, the mixed skill level. And the guys on the not so quick level, well, they get to learn from the guys pretty quick. Greg Barber, he's got some GTP cars coming up on him. He's got Keeley in front of him. And yeah, these guys are doing pretty good at the minute. And how good do these cars look under lights? I've been waiting for it. We've got about 11 minutes to go. The last couple of laps, it's absolutely stunning. But Hasler now 0.1 of a second off the lead in the GTP.
And I'm gonna correct you once again. That was Shotter there in behind Kylie. Barber is a little bit further up the road from them, but that's fine. They're still getting into a good battle. I mean, you know, everyone makes mistakes in some names sometimes. You know, it's the nature of the beast sometimes. But there's been some incredible battles. It's great to see as well. These GTP leaders are still battling it out hard for the win of this race. Can we go on board with Edwards here and just see how he's trying to tackle getting past Hasler over the course of this lap?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm going to shut up. I'm going to have a pit stop myself. Maybe. Do you want to break as well? Let's do something a little bit different. We're 35% of the way through. Let's crank this up and let's listen to a GTP car here at Daytona. World Centre of Racing, second to last round. Warren and Brown Tools Imsa Shadow Series. Eager to stay with him, didn't he? He was a little bit of a pressured situation trying to get through them lap traffic. Hamish, he done well, Edwards, to stick with him and go with him when he went around that traffic. I thought he might have lost a little bit of time, but nah, he went around, got around all of them, and still in the draft with Brendan Groch. He's stalking these two.
Mate, he's doing an incredible job right now. As we see, Edwards has just gone around there off the exit of 4. That's a massive moment in this race. He was P2, he's gone round. We get the replay up on screen and just see what's happened to him.
He was in a pressured situation too.
Oh, he's just cooked it. He's gone a little bit too early on that throttle. It's just spun the rear round. Very, very easy to do. But definitely one that you don't want to see happen.
Oh, and it'd be soft from his measures as well. He'd be dirty at himself for that one. He was right in there. He was sniffing at the lead of the race. He's still in third though. Still could be up for a podium, but I tell you, it gives this guy a bit of breathing room now. 2.6 seconds he has over Brendan Groch. But what I've seen of Brendan Groch, he doesn't have that say die mentality at all. And I tell you, Hughesy's really starting to put the pressure on Christensen in the GT3s. Pressure, side by side, in fact.
He is, mate, he is. If you want to go the double view, I am actually on board with Hughes at the moment, so we can see the on-track action as well as in-car action as well. So as you can see here. But you can just see the pressure that he's starting to apply to the back of Christensen at the moment for the lead of this race. Oh, you can see Mazzomo nearly get taken out there for a moment. But Hughes here, he just coming out of the toe, that really hinders your run, but he's going for the run now down towards the next corner. You just see one of the GTPs coming out. These guys are too wide right now, coming into turn number 1. They get it done somehow. I think you might still be on replay for your end, Peter, because they're over at turn 4 for you, unless I'm a bit behind. I might be behind. Oh, no, I'm a bit behind. I apologise, I think. Oh, well, you figure it out, but what a great view that is there for their battle. If we want to go back to the singular screen.
Well, we may have been a little bit off time, mate, but it was perfect, really. You've seen it a little bit out of shot, but these guys, I tell you, they were battling and battling hard. Adam Hughes, Christensen, it's not over yet.
No, mate, it is not. It is not over yet. These guys are still fighting hard, still battling hard, and that's for the win of their class as well. You know, they don't want to give anything up here tonight.
Adam Hughes is the Porsche King. I think he's known around SRW. He's, I think, who was it? This conversation just come to my head now, so it's going to be vague as hell. But this battle, Christensen and Hughes, had a conversation about this recently. It may even been at the top of the broadcast with you. Hughesy hasn't, he's had a couple of weeks off, and can he withstand the pressure, or can he give it back to Christensen and take him to the fight? And the answer is yes. And it was at the top of the broadcast. My memory shot.
No, mate, it's what I think now Hughesy's going to be trying to do, since Barber's not around him to give him a win, he'll be just trying to take points off Christensen to keep Barber in the fight for the championship. Chris Tomlin has had an incident as well, if we want to get that up on screen, just see what's happened to him, because he's dropped a heap of spots off this.
Yeah, I've just seen that come up as you said it. That's why I was so quick. It looks to be similar, wouldn't it? Different sections of the track, but similar scenario where, well, what are we, 40 minutes into a 45-minute race? Although we're not doing a 24-hour, fatigue is still in it. Remember, they can push, this is my call, they can push 24 times harder. Are they? I think they are by the pictures we're seeing now, and that may be why people are succumbing to some just little soft mistakes, I think.
Well, interesting enough, the GTPs are actually able to push, I think it's roughly 27 or 28 times harder. They normally get about 27, maybe 28 stints in a 24-hour race, being that their stints are only 45 minutes long. But, you know, the willingness to push that hard and the ability to push that hard are two very different things. Sometimes the willingness outweighs the ability, and that's where we can see some incidents starting to occur, especially towards the latter end of this race.
Well, we're all racers at heart, so our ability is always outweighs everything. You should know that by now. But yeah, these guys are a lot smarter than me, or yourself, Hamish. But yeah, definitely they don't have that mentality. But Whiting's coming up with an incident also. He's a key contender. I think he's sitting in 5th position or 4th position when this happened. It's coming up a crash, so it's a big one. Is it just a lose? And it is.
He's lost it, and we mentioned that at the start of the broadcast, that area there. Very easy to lose the rear end. I mean, Chop already had an incident at one of the corners we spoke about, and this is what we talked about. I don't think these drivers have actually taken tyres in their pit stop, being that they know the tyres can last 45 minutes. Those tyres are just starting to break away from them now. They're just starting to get a bit loose. Look at this.
They slowed up that GTP driver, I do believe. That was shot.
Newens, I believe it was. I believe it was Newens in the GTP. Yeah. He just wasn't willing to shoot it up the inside. He could have easily done it, but you know, he didn't want to have to impede these GT3s too much. As he's lost it there off the exit of that corner as well. We just saw it at the bottom of the screen. So
always a big one coming in.
Oh, look at this shot past Kylie now onto the entry of the bowl. Can they keep it nice and tidy?
I'm going back live. Right. We'll get a catch of that later. Bad timing here, Hamish, but well, it's all panned out.
I think it says on my end we're still on replay, apparently.
We're not live.
Now we're live.
Okay, might have taken a second to click over you, but let's have a look. The battle's still on.
Kylie here. He's going to be wanting to get this done soon. We should be coming into white flag lap quite shortly here. May only be 1 or 2 more laps in this one.
Jump on board with him. That's what the gap. 4 of the second. 3 of the second.
Nearly in. I mean, it looks bigger on the bowl. It'll be quite tight as they come through the infield, of course, but we can see Benici in behind Kylie as well. He'll be hoping to put a shot down the inside. Oh, they're going to go 3 wide. I don't think so. Newens might just have to hold off on this. I know he's got the faster car, but he just needs to be a bit patient. As up comes the leader of the GTP field in Hasler.
Coming up to the finish, but we're not.
I think we may have one more lap, possibly.
I mentioned this at the top of the broadcast. I'll go back to this battle here because it's still on. This is this, I don't know whether they asked it or it was a tactical. Look at this, 44 minutes out of 45, and the GTP drivers and GT3 drivers, they're battling each other and amongst themselves. This is a brilliant tactical move. I love to see this. GTP cars, they don't want to get involved in the battles, and they're making mistakes. But Shotta and Keeley, they're having a rip snorter at the minute. White flag says race control. But I love this idea of everyone tripping over each other at the last lap.
Just quickly as well, Nguyen's actually got caught up in an incident there. I don't think we need to check it out though, but you can see Grotch, he was flashing the headlights. He wanted to get past him as quickly as possible as the GTPs are about to come through the bus stop for quite possibly the final time here tonight. I mean, yeah, that, as a moment there for Nguyen, he's faster than the GT3s, not faster than the leaders of the GTP class. He kind of has nowhere to go at that stage. But they are going to come around the final corner now. I believe this will be for the final time here tonight. It appears it's going to be a Frog Leap Juice Racing 1-2 finish out here. I haven't actually got the GT3s up on screen. I'm sorry, that's fine. Something we can work out later on. But they've come across the line. That should be P1 and 2. Checkered flag is flying for Hasler and Grotch. It appears if we check out where the GT3s are, we'll see if they're in position to cross the line very soon as well. We can see if that battle is still happening for the win for Christensen and Hughes. I believe they are still battling.
Have a look at the gentlemen in the GTP cars behind them, letting them have a go.
Yeah.
And they're going over the line anyway, so that's
why. Now the cool down lap at the moment, but what a race that was. Hasler, Grotch, Edwards, that was the top three for the GTPs. Christensen, Hughes and Dodds, that's the top three for the GT3 class as well.
And this is the finish in the GT3. Sorry I missed it. This was the Shotta and Keeley battle across the line.
And it appears Kylie gets him just on the line to get into the top 5 in class. You see that? Nothing in it. It was incredibly close. That was almost Cars-esque between McQueen and the King and Chick Hicks, but there's absolutely nothing in it when they cross the line then. And Shotta just misses out on a top 5.
Well, Hasler, Grotch, Edwards, Mazzomo and Whiting. Well, I tell you, they turned it on in the GTP. Mazzomo, he was on fire. He up to P4 and he tried something different and going a lap longer, I think. I called him going a lap earlier, but he went a lap longer in his strategy. And it was pretty close. It was spread out. But once again, them GT3 cars, they're showing us, although I don't really show them that much, but when the battles are on your screen, it's close. Harley says in comment, Mazzomo's a smart driver, said over and over, but he's left in the dust discounting Grotch's effort the whole time. But yeah, 100%, all these drivers need to take their hat off. 0 safety cars. I got one right. It's Daytona. You know, it was in my opinion always going to happen. 0 safety cars as Hasler flick spins it on the grass here at Daytona.
Yeah, mate. You know, I was kind of skeptical, thinking we could have very easily seen one here tonight. We already saw some pretty questionable incidents happening, especially between those two GTP cars trying to get around the GT3s, but. I think, you know, these drivers did well. They proved their abilities as these guys are doing their best Ricky Bobby impression to do the burnouts on the grass here at Daytona. But, yeah, I think it could have gone either way to have 0 or 1 safety car. But they proved that they have got the ability and have got the expertise around this track to not cause safety cars here tonight.
Well, they've done a good job on that. And we'll recap the finish as we'll have a look at... these guys, well, finishing up their burnouts. I'll put the results up on screen. So let's go to the GT3 so we can watch them do burnouts through our race results. We'll start off with the GT3. Well, they're on screen for this race. It was a great battle, as we mentioned, throughout, wasn't it? And throughout this series, not just this round. Look at that, 0.013 across the line for them top 2 GT3 drivers. Harry Dodds gets another podium. He's sniffing, isn't he? He's sniffing there for a few race wins on a trot. I'm sure he'll come out fighting for the final round next week at
Silverstone.
I was going to say Snedden. I knew it wasn't it, but yeah, Greg Barber and Shotter. And Keeley as well, weren't they onto it? And add Benici into that battle as well. Them 2 4 drivers, they were battling at times all 4, and at times together. They didn't have much of a rest at all, but a couple of drivers that are down quite considerable laps, mate. So Ganotis, Nixon, and O'Loughlin all did not finishes from them. So unfortunate for them, but I tell you, the GT3 guys showing that they're just as good and they know how to race just as good as these GTP guys.
Well, mate, O'Loughlin unfortunately didn't actually start the race. Connor Nixon completed 1 lap and then pulled out, and then Ganotis, after that incident on lap 5, he pulled out of the race.
That's right,
so
yeah. Oh well.
So
Yep. Still unfortunate from him, but yeah. But the GTP results are on our screen now, and our podium we'll get to chat with soon. Hasler, Grotch, and Edwards. Outstanding driving from all.
Yeah, mate, they did very, very well. An outstanding drive as well from Mazzomo to get up to P4. Michael Whiting makes up the top 5. 5 Cadillacs in that top 5. It shows that they were the car of choice here tonight, although there was a Porsche in P6 being Jack Anderson. A great return to form from him as he returns into the series. Luke Crum will come home out of P7, just ahead of a Velocity Racing Team double of Ash DeVries and Jordan Ferguson in 8th and 9th. Dougie Gowns will then make up the top 10 here tonight, with Chris Tomlin coming home out of P11. Scotty Van Loon in P12. Newlands out of P13. And then we have to go all the way down into the non-finishers for Ty Delaney, Adam Simpson in that GTP field here tonight.
Yep, unfortunate for them guys. They've got a DNF against their name. We've spoken about how important it is for the teams to back them up into next round, being the final. I tell you, it's almost Christmas. We get to sit back for, so I think it's a bit of a long break between seasons, so that's going to be pretty good. But I tell you, I think for us behind the scenes producers and admin, no one wants their job. There's not much break for us. We've try and get everything rolling back into another season. Plenty of prep work I think is going to go into this next season of racing here on SRW TV, Hamish. But I think, talk about it. The week's getting long. It's finished. Let's not make it any longer, and let's start to wrap it up and grab our podium chats, mate. I think GT3 we'll start with tonight.
Yeah, mate, we got Christensen and Dodds in there out of P1 and P3. There's no Adam Hughes here tonight, but that's all right. We'll drag those 2 boys in. We'll have a chat to them. We'll start with you, Harry, out of P3. Bit of a better performance from you this week. Of course, last week you got involved in a pretty nasty incident out at Red Bull Ring on before even the first lap. How was it going back out there tonight here at Daytona at a track that, you probably got a lot of history at racing here in a GT3 car?
Yeah, look, it's it wasn't. How can I put this really without actually swearing like people would love me to do on stream? But yeah, I didn't really have the outright pace, which I kind of knew I didn't have compared to Adam, Greg, and even Jamie. Congrats to those 2. They were mega fast all night. And yeah, I was just mainly I was sort of trying to play it safe at the same time because I knew like the championship was still on the line until Barber caught up to me and they were like, oh dear, okay, there it goes. But yeah, look, nonetheless, I'm really happy with P3, and on to Silverstone next week.
And what talk us through like the team mentality? I know I talk a lot about teams and the importance of the teams. You know, to bounce you back from a bad situation or a bad race or a bad series it might have been. But talk us through, Braden and the crew there at Frog Leap. You've fit in there well. Talk us through, And I think it's fair to say, and I've known you for a little bit now, Harry, but the consistency's still not where you like. I have where you would like it rather. The pace I have noticed is really getting there. But what are you and the team working on without giving away your secrets with your consistency, getting that up there? Because I think a lot of people will back me up on this and say that if your consistency gets on point, you're going to be a trouble in so many leagues.
Yeah,
for the fast guys, that is, not in trouble. A trouble for the fast guys. There we go. No, I don't think I needed to elaborate on that, but yeah.
Yeah, no, you're dead right there, Pete. Like, I think it's just all about getting on when we can, really. Like, just mainly communicating with each other when we're going to be on, and just get some laps together. Do some data runs, hopefully like at some point. Also stay in touch with us as well. Like, we might actually have some possible new releases coming out soon. I'm not giving too much away of what that might be or whatever's going to go on in the background. I'm still sort of kept in the dark on that process, but yeah, it's just all about just trying to get on and do some laps whenever we can, really. Like, we don't all have to be on at the same point. We just got to like show what we're doing, like in our Discords, to each other and all that. And we'll be, we'll hopefully get our consistency back up there.
Yeah, and that wasn't a shot at you. You're definitely a great driver to have around. But I was just, the consistency is probably not. It's way better than me. I can say that, and a lot of drivers out there as well, mate. But Hamish, if anyone out of the team you can get their new things out, it's probably Harry, mate. If you pressure him a bit.
Yeah, just quickly before I get you to give anyone a shout out or any of your sponsors a shout out, Harry, do you reckon we're likely to see the likes of maybe Rick Sibra have a crack in these GT cars in future, or do you reckon he's pretty set on the supercar at the moment?
It'll take to be honest, I haven't really raced with Rick as much, like as mainly he's just been focusing on vets. Yeah. But I reckon if we get the chance, we might try and convince him as well, like to get on. Because Brent, one of our other fast guys, Brenton Nitschke, has been away. It's been off for a while. I'm not sure what his reasons are, but yeah, we'll hopefully have more of a dynamic force to compete with Fishy Motorsports in terms of the biggest team in the field for SRW soon.
Well, mate, I mean, I'd love to see Rick out there. I was absolutely gobsmacked with how much he dominated Split 2 when I called it last season in season 16. But let us know who's giving you boys at Frog Leap Juice Racing the support out there, mate. Anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well? The floor is yours.
I think I might actually handball it off to Brandon and Scotty for the sponsor shout out there.
No worries, mate. That's all good.
But no, yeah, I'd mainly just like to shout the team though. Like I'm not sure how much effort we've all put into Imsa recently, but yeah, we're all seeming to be racking up podiums. Like Brandon and Scotty are really dominating the GT prototypes at the moment. Really, they're catching up to Jake going to Silverstone next week, which is what we want. And best of luck to everyone for the final round next week.
Very good, mate. Thanks for coming and have a chat to us here tonight, and best of luck in the final round.
Will do, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, mate. Now, Peter, we have got both Jamie and Adam in the green room. Do we want to drag them both in and ask them, because those boys finished with 0.02 of a second separating them at the line?
Let's do it. Let's drag them both in, and while we do that, I'm going to try and get that up for us to watch.
No worries, mate. We'll bring Adam in. We'll bring Jamie in as well. We want to talk to both of you because you boys had a ripper race out there. You were swapping and changing back and forth the whole time. Adam, we'll start with you, mate. You're not in contention for the championship here at the moment, but you're kind of just hoping to take some points off of Jamie just to make Greg's job a little bit easier.
No, I think I was just trying to just capitalise on like the few of the drivers and like the sort of around me. Like in terms of points, like they were behind me in the race. I was just trying to capitalise on the points haul. I think Greg is pretty much got it in the bag. He got fourth. He did finish behind Harriet Dodsey, but I think he might have it in the bag. I'm fairly sure.
Well, mate, I mean, you battled pretty hard with Jamie here tonight. Jamie, how are you feeling having Adam just kind of fill in your mirror for the majority of that race out there tonight?
Oh, I mean, before the pit stop, I was trying to save it most because if I got the extra lap, I would have been like 3 seconds in front of him after pit stops, which he got the extra lap. But I put less fuel in my car and just saved after the pit stop to stay in front, which worked. But it was pretty calm up until the end.
Yeah, you swapped over to the BMW here tonight from the Porsche last week. Was that just because, we had a mention in the chat saying the Porsche was good in the infield, but the BMW was better down the bowl and down the straight? Was your reasoning for that just to have the advantage down the straight, or were you just more comfortable in that car around this circuit?
It's more comfort. The Porsche's quicker in the straight if you drop the wing, and I don't think Adam did that. But yeah, it's just quicker in the straight, the Porsche, not the Beamer.
Well, Adam, I mean, you fought him tooth and nail here tonight. You think there was any more you could have done to try and get past him at any point, or do you think you pretty much gave your all out there?
No, I should have jumped on the Beamer because I had nothing in a straight line. I had like literally no wing on it. I had minimum wing, and I was catching him through the infield, like leaps and bounds. But as soon as he got to the bank to oval, he'd just drive away. But I've been doing officials all week, and literally the BMW and the Merc have been like the OP cars. Just everyone's been using the Porsche because of the infield. And if you can stay in the draft, then you don't have to worry about the Porsche so much. So, but yeah, I just struggled tonight, just in terms of GDP showing up at the wrong time. And I nearly took myself and another GDP out on pit exit. I don't know who it was, but he was just literally parked there doing like 70 k's an hour while we're like sort of going back to race speed, coming out of pit lane past the blue cones, and that sort of just absolutely like lost me 2 or 3 seconds. So yeah, there's not much I could have done. Just would have had more confidence in the bus stop, would have been better for it. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the race, I think.
And Hughesy, it helps coming into a round like this with millions of laps under your belt. That's probably an over-exaggeration, but yeah, well. You spoke just briefly about the GTPs coming up at the wrong time. Obviously, wrong time for you in your battles, but I've been trying to think. I, for one, love it. I'm saying it's a tactical thing from race admin to make the race distance as long as they have to trip yous up at close to the last few laps of the race. I'm going to stick with it as a tactical situation, but although it's harder for you drivers, would you rather that, or would you rather just battling within your class more often?
Oh no, I'm all for like the Shadow Series and the GDPs and for the GT3s getting around. It was just unlucky for me. Like I'm sure bloody Jamie had a few moments where he got unlucky. Like there was a moment where towards the end of the race he was like 3 or 4 seconds ahead of me, and then the GDP just like sent it from the next postcode, and he actually made contact and lost like 2 or 3 seconds, and that put me straight under his wing again. So it's give and take. You just got to try and gauge it and try and hopefully hope to cross that you get lucky with some of the GDPs that they'll wait or they'll make the move or the corner well and truly before you're hitting the braking zone, sort of thing.
Yeah, it was good to see. I'm not too sure if I just got your finish or I've totally missed it, but there's the finish there. I'm pretty sure, Hamish, if you're still watching, it's damn close from these guys. I'm not too sure if yous, before I hit play, if yous want to quickly jump on board and one of yous just explain, what's the feeling going through your drivers, or what's the feeling of your pedal plate? You must hear some weird creaks when you start to come across the line like this.
Yeah, just I don't know how to explain it. Just hoping to cross, I can take the shortest line or the shortest route, so to speak, and minimize any distance travel. But obviously that didn't work for me tonight. But yeah, no, it was close and tight finish. It was absolutely dynamite. Good stuff. I was pretty happy with that. I'm sure it was fun to watch for you guys and for everyone else.
Yeah, it was good fun, wasn't it, Hamish? But that's what two, I'm gonna say, hundredths looks like here at Daytona.
Actually, I don't think that's a finish line. I think that's a bit further up.
Yeah,
No,
that's around the final. That's the other side of the final corner. But regardless, boys, you both did very, very well though to finish home in P1 and 2. Adam, let us know who's giving you boys the support out there at CXR, and anyone else you want to give a shout out to as well, mate.
I was gonna say I'll get Barbs to do it, but I just realised he's not on the podium. Obviously, massive thanks to you guys for tonight. Obviously, GDP drivers for showing up. Obviously, big field tonight. Shunt Scenery, Palmerston Bakery, DSM Painting Contractors, Jennifer Russell Real Estate, Doom Designs, Pool Master Bayside, and a special mention to Uncle Rico, and obviously all the guys at CXR and all the boys at Whitey's Pies.
You boys landed Uncle Rico then?
In the throes of doing so.
Okay, that'd be pretty cool to see on the car. Actually, that'd be pretty cool. But thanks for joining us, though, Adam. Appreciate it, mate. Well done on the P2 here tonight, and best of luck out at Silverstone next week.
Likewise, cheers, boys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, mate. Well, Jamie, it's another round and a win for you here tonight out at Daytona. Let us know who's giving you the support out there, mate. Anyone else you want to give a shout out to? And I mean, this has got to feel like a pretty special win for you.
Yeah, well, Daytona's pretty nice to win at, but thank you boys for putting on the stream and the races, which is fun. And also thank you for Burning Motor Group, Dr. Epoxy, Race Lab Overlays, RSW Graphics, Supernova Motorsport, Moser Racing, and Hymo Setups for sponsoring Vermilion Motorsports.
Very good, mate. Well, best of luck this week out at Silverstone. How are you feeling going into the final round?
Well, I'm not in it for the championship, so I'm only here for fun.
Oh well, I mean, you could get another for fun victory next week, surely. Just, stick it to anyone else who has a hope of getting a win. You just put it up on the top step, and like, I'm here to stay, and it's going to be a strong run for next season.
Yeah, I'll just do the exact same overtake that Adam tried doing at the bus stop on the last lap. Tim.
Very good, mate. Well, very good job tonight. Great job on your P1, and best of luck this week.
All right, see you, boys.
Thanks, mate. Well, Peter, great to speak to our GT3 podium. Shall we grab all three of the GTP boys in here at the same time?
Yeah, let's jump in. And while we do that, I'm going to just briefly, before we start interviewing them, I'm going to go and have a look at this, another close finish, just while we can get them all in. Luke Crum had a good race out there today. If I can find his name, we'll have a look at his finish. Whether iRacing is going to put me in the right spot or not, it's checkered flag. That's what I went back to, mate. But I still don't think this is.
You might have to go up to full speed because he's probably he might have crossed the line before the leader did, so then he actually has to do still the rest of this lap. He did finish him behind Ando. He was about 3.9 seconds behind him, but he was 0.04 of a second ahead of Shoz, who's just ahead of him on track here. So I would say this is the final lap for them. He wasn't too far ahead of Shoz at the line. I mean, it's the quickest way to get through it, isn't it?
Oh, it doesn't look good. It takes the reality out of it. It's probably one of the first times I've ever done it. It's somewhere here, isn't it?
Yeah, he should get by him here before the line. Oh, Shoz is going to cop a slowdown. I think he might have crossed the grass. May have popped the slowdown, or Crummy just got a better run down towards the final corner. While we look at this, we'll bring in our podium finishers for the GTPs. Scott Hasler, Brendan Grotch, Jake Edwards, you are our provisional podium here tonight for the GTPs. Jake, we'll start with you, mate. We saw the moment with you down at turn 4 where you looped the car trying to chase down Scott. What was going through your mind after that happening, mate?
I want to say the word, but it won't be good for the stream. But yeah, I botched it.
I think we can appreciate the mindset that you would have been in after that moment. Of course. But how was it though, battling it out with Scott for the majority of that race, putting in some good moves on him, trying to get past him, but well, I mean, after that mistake, you just weren't quite close enough in the end.
Yeah, it was pretty good. Like I was saying to Scott before in the debrief, we're having a chat, and I was saying, man, I don't know how I gained that I think it was like 2 to 3 seconds on him in the pit stop. But it was good to come out next to him and then have a bit of a battle. And then just sucks I got a bit screwed over in the bus stop by a GT3, but it is what it is.
Oh, it's multi-class at its finest, and you say messed up, I say tripped over. I reckon it's great how the GTPs and the GT3s come entwined at the later stages of the races. Talk us through tonight, mate. Daytona, World Centre of Racing, it's the road course. Everyone's done heaps of it. I know you and your team have done quite a few and been pretty successful here. Firstly, what was the mindset coming in? Getting the draw at the start of the season, you must have been happy because your team would have been like, yeah, righto, good practice. But in a sprint round format, I called it at the top of the broadcast, it's 1/24th of the race distance. Therefore, you can go 24 times harder. Is that just me pulling out of where?
Oh no, definitely. You can just send it as much as you want, man. You got
my
no
attitude.
stress.
You got
Yeah,
my
you
attitude.
don't have 24 hours of just trying to run a strategy of saving fuel and whatnot, man. You can just go balls to the wall and just have a send.
And intensity, it looked like in times it was still as high as the last 3 laps of Daytona 24.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. The intensity is always there, especially around a track like this. It's always crazy. We're expecting it to be a big draft fest at the start of a race, but then a few people got slowdowns and it's just spread us out. And then when we got through to GT3s, yeah, that was just mayhem.
All in all, mate, it's been a cracking season. You got one more to go, so keep that tail up, mate. You've been on the podium quite a few times since I've been in, and probably quite a few times before I was here as well. So keep that tail up, mate. One more to go, Hamish. Edwards, I reckon he's going to be 24 is going to be his season.
Yeah, mate. I mean, you've shown some great pace this season. It'll be interesting to see how you go on the next one. Luckily for you, Hughesy did actually already shout out the sponsors of CXR, but let us know anyone you want to give a shout out to, mate. He, luckily for you, took away the moniker of saying all the sponsors.
Well, you know what? I want to shout out Adam Hughes for taking the sponsors away from me. What a guy.
Oh, he's got to do one thing for you for a change.
Yeah, about time instead of trying to block me down in turn 4. No, shout out to you boys for putting the stream on, and shout out to Scott and Brendan for always being good to race with, man.
Very good, mate. Well, congrats on your P3. Best of luck this week out at Silverstone. Peter won't be here next week, but I look forward to seeing how you go.
Too easy, mate. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You too, mate. Well, Brandon and Scott, a P1-2 finish for Frog Leap Juice Racing once again. Scott, you continue to dominate proceedings. Brandon, you kind of Bradbury'd your way up into P2 after Jakey made the mistake out at turn 4, but you had the pace to be there in the end anyway, and it paid off for you boys to get that 1-2 finish.
Yeah, I probably should have been with Scott for the entire race, but unfortunately lap 1 I just decided to get a little bit too greedy on the bus stop and gave myself a slowdown. Dropped me all the way back down to I think it was 6th. But just had to put the head down and try and make my way back. Got lucky with Jake's spin and just carried on from there. Held our spots.
So how many laps have you boys, sorry to cut you off, Peter, just quickly, how many 24-hour races or races around this track do you reckon you boys have done in a prototype previous to this race?
I've actually done 0 laps because the last 2 Daytona 24s I've been entered in, the car was crashed before I got into it. So I'm very keen for the next one.
I reckon you should start the race then. At least then you get a lap in.
Probably will.
It's always the what ifs when that happens. What if what? But we spoke to Harry about the downtimes and how the team, sort of bounces you back from that, and Frog Leap, Fish Eat, 9-5, all the names that you hear around there, they've always got, or they all have a good support network. So I won't go back into that with you, mate. But Team 1-2, it's pretty good to have you and your teammates side by side up there on the top steps. You must be enjoying the battling, mate, because you've been in the battles throughout this whole season. I've been noticing, and Daytona's hasn't been your best. Nothing that you've done wrong. You haven't had a chance. But what do you take out of Daytona for SRW into the final round next week?
Honestly, don't really know. I just want to finish out the season, to be honest. Actually try and get another win on the board. It's been a rough couple of weeks, so that'd be my main game. But other than that, just keep it clean. Be wary of the tyres, because they're bad this time around. They're probably bad next week too. Yeah,
100%. Hamish, there you go. There's the mindset from Frog Leap, isn't it?
Well, at least from one half of the Frog Leap entries. I mean, Scott, you've been winning race after race. How are you kind of looking into Silverstone, and what's kind of your mindset? Is it similar to Brandon and a bit of survival and hope to get another win, or are you kind of just hoping to go full send and guarantee that top step of the podium?
Yeah, I think we're just going for wins now. Jake's got a massive lead. He's been super consistent all season. So yeah, we're not not really fighting for the championship. It's just try to keep racking up the wins if we can, and yeah, just have some fun.
I mean, how was that race out there for you tonight? I mean, you had Jake pretty close behind you for the majority of the way. What was the mindset like after he made his mistake and suddenly your mirror was free of that CXR car?
Yeah, look, that was a massive relief once he had the spin. It was definitely the most stressful race of the season. The car was super sketchy on the infield into 4 and 6. I kept having to catch it. Particularly, you get that final downshift and it just wanted to loop on me. And I think speaking to Jake, he was having similar things, and he just happened to be the one that had the spin. It could have been any one of us, I think. Definitely relieved when that happened, and me and Brandon kind of just said to each other, "All right, let's cool it off now and just bring it home," because it was feeling sketchy out there.
Did you think to maybe try out the Porsche this week? I mean, me and Pete spoke about it at the start of the broadcast. The Caddy would be good on the outfield, on the bowl and the straight with its straight line speed, but the Porsche would actually be better on the infield because of its downforce and being able to keep its grip a little bit better. Did you think about moving over to the Porsche this time by, or were you fully committed to that Cadillac?
I didn't. I don't own the Porsche at the moment, but it's. I was sort of saying to Brandon, I wonder if there is a better car around the infield, because the Caddy did definitely feel pretty sketchy. So I think coming, as we get closer to 24 hours, that's something we'll probably think about. But you may also run a bit more wing for that, and do a few other tweaks to make it a bit safer. It wasn't something I thought about for this week, but definitely. That's not to say it wasn't the way to go.
Well, mate, I mean, you did a cracking job to take out another victory. Brandon, you did a great job to make your way back up to P2 after the lap 1 mistake. Let us know, boys, who's given Frog Leap the support out there, although I believe Harry already shouted out your sponsors, so you boys don't even necessarily have to do that if you don't feel like it. You've kind of been saved from that, so if you want to shout out your sponsors, you can. Otherwise, let us know anyone else you want to give a shout out to.
We'll say big thanks to Juiced Energy, Simrigs.com, Racecraft, Hyperion Systems, Clipspeed Gloves, and the Pet Dog Company. And a shout out to our boss Braden, who fell asleep before the race and missed it altogether.
Wow.
I actually think he's still sleeping too.
Yeah.
Do you know the reason as well? Because I believe he dropped out of vets this season prior to season 17. Can you give me any word on if he's wanting to come back to vets at any point? Because I've missed seeing a Frog Leap car out in Split 2, because once Sibra left, I've had none.
Look, I don't know why he's not running this season. He's always been big on the vets, so I'm sure you'll see him back at some point. Not sure where he is at the moment.
Hey Hamish, we might have to adapt the fishy motto and calling these guys just happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday, and well, that's going to escalate their birthday to 40s, and there you go, mate.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Jono used to be in there too, but he left before season 17 as well. So him and Braden were my only hope this past season with Rick going up, but then they left me, so now I was without any froggies out there. But cracking job here tonight, fellas. Cracking job throughout the season as well. Thanks for coming over chat to us, and best of luck this week out at Silverstone.
Yeah, thanks, fellas. See you next week.
Thanks, fellas.
Cheers, boys. Well, Pete, for the final round for you this season, how'd you feel tonight's race went?
A lot better, as we didn't see one of them safety car, but a lot better than rounds to be. It's been a tough back introduction, but good to finish off a season with something that I'm relatively happy with to use the confidence into the next season. But I tell you, it's been 18 months between watching iRacing races this close, but glad to be back in the seat, and definitely I want to see some of this stuff again, because there's so much to learn in multi-class racing, and you can hear it in my commentary, talking to the viewers now, that I know, and there's a lot of beeps there, but I don't have the beep function, but I believe if we get drawn the same cards, Hamish, for next season, I do believe I'm probably going to be the winner in that one, only because I'm going to gain a lot of knowledge, but definitely thoroughly enjoyed listening and being alongside and being that sponge to your knowledge, mate. It's going to be it's going to be a cracking next round. I'll try and tune in for the end of it. But yeah, it's going to be a cracking next season. But well, to the rest of you still got another round. So peace out.
Well, mate, just quickly as well, if there's one, what track do you reckon you'd want to see in the calendar for next season for the Shadow Series? We know that Magello's coming into the service next season. What's one track do you think that could be included that may have been excluded this previous season?
I'm known for my extremes, so because I'm a shit driver, right? And I'm going to say that. Sorry, Steve, but there's no other word to describe me. I just am, right? I don't have it. These guys have it. So I like watching races and I love seeing crashes. So I don't know. Hurry up and scan Adelaide and put us in there, and then let's Clipsal. This type of racing at Clipsal. Oh, we need the beeper handy if that ever happens.
What I can take from that is you want Belle Isle.
Close enough.
Which I don't.
Give it
which
to
I don't
me.
think
Long Beach as well.
I don't think the drivers would. I don't know if the drivers would. Long Beach would actually make sense since they do actually drive there in real life. Although it could be a bit of a shit fight to come. But although who knows though? We will see. And I'm sure those conversations will happen in the break, and we'll figure out a good calendar that suits all drivers and all classes in this series, and hopefully produce an even better season come season 1 next year.
Well, to be honest, Hamish, if I'm standing or sitting side by side next to you, talking crap about these guys and learning, then I'll be happy, mate. Put me at I was just about to say my street name then. Put me down Ipswich Road in up here in Queensland and watch these guys race. As long as we're calling it, I think I'll be happy. But Sammy K, do the figure 8 track. Let's do it, Steve and the admin crew. Let's do it. Figure 8 track.
I was waiting for someone to say that. I was waiting for someone to say let's do like an off-road track like Crandon or something, which that would not work, but it'd be hilarious.
Bristol Dirt. There we go.
Oh, we could do the Daytona Rallycross track as well. We'll come back to Daytona and do the Rallycross track.
Why not? They're
I know
Bathurst
Shibby would be
twice
pretty
next
happy
year.
for that. Yeah, why not?
If they go there, I'm racing.
But thanks for joining me this season, though, Pete. Hope to have you back next season. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate. And enjoy your break. Enjoy moving next week. And everyone else at home, thanks for joining us so far this season. We've got 1 round to go out at Silverstone next time by. It's going to be a massive night of racing. But for myself, for Pete, and for SRW TV, this has been the Warren & Brown Tools IMSA Shadow Series, brought to you here from the Daytona Road Course for the famous Daytona 24-hour, although tonight it was the Daytona 45 minutes for us. It's a cracking night of racing. We'll see you next week for Silverstone. But until then, bye for now.